All right, so get ready for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're going deep
Okay.
into a case that has captivated true crime fans for decades,
Oh, for sure.
the Black Dahlia.
Classic.
This isn't just about the brutality, though.
Yeah.
It's about the mystery that still hangs over Hollywood after all these years.
Well,
We've got an article here
Absolutely.
titled Death of a Dream, the Black Dahlia. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's a wild ride
Really?
through the underbelly of Hollywood's golden age.
What strikes me is how this case,
Yeah.
even after 65 years, reflects the deeper anxieties of the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you had this post-war society grappling with the shadows of conflict.
Right.
And suddenly, this brutal murder explodes in the heart of the entertainment industry.
It really makes you think about the facade of glamour and the darkness that can lurk beneath.
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of facades,
Yeah.
the article paints this stark contrast between Elizabeth Short's hopeful journey
Right.
and her tragic end. She arrives in Hollywood in the 1940s, full of dreams,
Of course.
but the reality turns out to be anything but a fairy tale.
Her story really embodies that classic Hollywood trope of the small-town girl with big dreams.
Right.
She was described as shy and sweet, someone who just wanted a life
Yeah.
filled with love and happiness.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right. But life, especially in a place like Hollywood, rarely plays out the way we script it.
Definitely. And it's heartbreaking to read about her letters to her fiancé, Major Matt Gordon, filled with hope for a happy future together.
Oh.
It almost feels like
Yeah.
you're peeking into a moment
Right.
frozen in time before everything went wrong.
And then fate deals a cruel hand.
Oh, no.
Gordon dies in a plane crash, leaving Elizabeth heartbroken and vulnerable.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awful.
It's a tragic turning point. Really makes you wonder how different things might have been if that hadn't happened.
Talk about a sliding doors moment, right? But unfortunately, the story takes an even darker turn in January 1947
Oh.
when Elizabeth's body is discovered.
Oh.
And it's not just the fact that she's dead.
Right.
It's the way she was found.
Huh?
The details are,
Yeah.
well, disturbing.
Disturbing is an understatement,
Yeah.
to say the least. Her body was found in a vacant lot, completely naked and carefully posed, with rope marks suggesting she endured horrific torture before her death.
Oh, my gosh.
And to add to the horror, she was bisected at the waist.
Okay, before you go on, for those who aren't familiar with the term, bisected means she was literally cut in half.
Precisely.
Oh, my.
And the brutality doesn't end there.
Oh, God.
She was completely drained of blood, and her face was mutilated in the way that's often referred to as a Glasgow smile.
Ah.
It's a specific type of wound where the corners of the mouth are cut upwards to resemble a grotesque grin.
It's hard to imagine the level of rage and cruelty involved in inflicting such horrific injuries.
Yeah.
But one detail that always stuck with me is the lack of blood at the scene. It suggests she wasn't killed there, but rather transported and deliberately posed in that vacant lot.
Right.
It's almost like a macabre performance.
That's a chilling observation,
Yeah.
and it points to a level of premeditation that makes this case even more disturbing.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the media frenzy that erupted around the case.
Oh, yeah.
It like wildfire.
I bet.
Headlines screamed about the Black Dahlia and the hunt for the killer.
Wow.
It became a media sensation,
Yeah.
fueled by the shocking nature of the crime.
The media really went into overdrive, didn't they? It's hard to imagine how overwhelming that must have been at the time.
It must have been.
Especially with crime scene photos, even retouched ones, being splashed across newspapers.
Wow.
It almost feels like the public's hunger for details overshadowed the tragedy of Elizabeth's death.
It definitely raises questions about the ethics of journalism and the fine line between reporting the news and exploiting a tragedy for sensationalism. Yeah. However, there's a fascinating side note about the nickname Black Dahlia.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. Why Black Dahlia?
The article suggests it was likely inspired by the 1946 film Noir,
Okay.
The Blue Dahlia, which, ironically, also revolves around a murder.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like a dark foreshadowing of Elizabeth's own fate.
Wow, that's a creepy coincidence.
But I guess the name stuck, right?
It certainly did.
Yeah.
And while it may have been sensationalized,
Right.
it undeniably kept the case in the public eye,
Oh, yeah.
which might have been the only glimmer of hope for finding Elizabeth's killer.
Right.
But amidst all the hype and speculation,
Yeah.
it's easy to forget that there's a human story at the heart of this case.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth's last days were filled with terror and desperation.
That's right.
Yeah.
The article mentions an encounter with a policewoman just a day before her disappearance. Apparently, Elizabeth was distraught, even sobbing, and claiming that someone was trying to kill her.
Oh, wow.
It's like she had a premonition of her own fate.
It's a haunting detail.
It is.
That adds another layer to the mystery.
Yeah.
Shortly after that encounter, she's seen getting into a car with 2 unidentified men and a woman.
Oh, gosh.
And that's the last anyone sees of her alive.
Wow.
It's chilling to think about what might have happened in those final hours.
And that's just one of many unanswered questions in this case.
Yeah.
But perhaps the most perplexing question is, why was her body posed the way it was?
Right.
The article points out that this kind of deliberate staging is extremely rare in homicides.
It's a detail that continues to baffle investigators and fuel speculation.
Right.
Was it a signature of the killer? A message of some kind?
Right.
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely suggests that the killer wanted to be noticed. They weren't just trying to dispose of a body. They were trying to send a message.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Chilling stuff. And that's where the theories come in, right? Because everyone wants to crack this code.
Of course.
To understand the message behind this horrific act.
Exactly. It's like a giant puzzle, and everyone's trying to fit the pieces together.
Yeah.
Speaking of puzzles, one theory that always intrigued me is the one presented by Steve Hodel, who claims his own father, Dr. George Hodel, was the Black Dahlia Avenger.
Interesting.
I mean, talk about a family secret.
Hodel's theory is certainly compelling.
Right.
Especially when you consider his father's background.
Yeah.
Dr. Hodel was a prominent physician in Los Angeles. But he also had a dark side.
Whoa.
He was known to be involved in some shady dealings and had a fascination with the macabre.
And then there's the whole connection to surrealist art.
Right.
Wasn't Dr. Hodel friends with Man Ray?
He was.
Oh, wow.
And that friendship is a key element of Hodel's theory. He suggests that his father's interest in surrealism, specifically the works of Man Ray, may have influenced the way Elizabeth's body was posed and mutilated.
Okay, I'll admit, that's where I get a little lost.
Yeah.
Surrealism isn't exactly my forte.
Sure.
Can you break down that connection for me?
Of course.
Okay.
Surrealism was an artistic movement that aimed to explore the subconscious mind, often through dreamlike and disturbing imagery. Hodel points to 2 specific Man Ray photographs. Les Amoureux, the lovers, and Le Minotaur, the Minotaur, as possible inspirations for the Black Dahlia murder.
All right, let's start with Les Amoureux. What's the connection there?
Les Amoureux depicts a pair of bright red lips stretched across a dark background, creating a sense of unease and distortion. Hodel suggests this could have been the inspiration for the disfigurement of Elizabeth's mouth. That horrifying Glasgow smile we talked about earlier.
I see the resemblance, but isn't that a bit of a stretch? Couldn't any image of lips have served as a twisted inspiration?
That's a valid point. However, Hodel argues that Les Amoureux specifically captures a sense of violence and violation that aligns with the brutality of the crime.
Okay, I'm following you.
Okay.
What about the other photograph, Le Minotaur?
Right.
What's the significance of that one?
Le Minotaur is even more abstract. It features a fragmented female torso with a bull's head superimposed on it. The overall effect is unsettling, almost nightmarish.
Wow.
Hodel suggests that the fragmented nature of the image, the distorted body parts, could have influenced the way Elizabeth's body was bisected and posed.
So he's saying that Dr. Hodel was trying to create a real-life surrealist artwork.
Yeah.
It's a disturbing thought, to say the least.
Disturbing, but not entirely implausible. Given Dr. Hodel's artistic interests and the evidence Hodel claims to have uncovered. He argues that the posing of the body, the specific mutilations, were not random acts of violence, but deliberate choices designed to mimic the aesthetics of surrealist art.
And to add fuel to the fire, both Dr. Hodel and Man Ray fled the U.S. in 1951. Never to return. It's hard to ignore that coincidence, especially given the timing.
Coincidence? Perhaps. Or perhaps a calculated move to evade suspicion. We may never know for sure. But it's certainly a detail that adds to the intrigue of Hodel's theory.
For sure.
Even with all the compelling arguments and intriguing connections, we have to remember that Hodel's theory is just that theory.
Exactly.
It's one possible interpretation of the evidence, and there are many others.
Right. And as much as we love a good conspiracy,
Yeah.
we have to stay grounded in facts.
Of course.
So, were there any other suspects that the
Uh-huh.
police considered seriously?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The Black Dahlia case had no shortage of suspects.
I bet.
Over the years, the LAPD investigated hundreds of leads. Some more credible than others.
Right.
There were ex-boyfriends, jealous acquaintances,
Uh-huh.
and even a few notorious serial killers who were active at the time.
Oh, God.
But despite all their efforts,
Yeah.
the case remains stubbornly unsolved.
So it's not just about the mystery of who did it,
Right.
but also about the frustration of a case that seemingly defied solution.
Yeah.
And with so much time passed,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder if we'll ever truly know what happened to Elizabeth Short.
That's the question that haunts everyone who's been touched by this case.
It is.
And while we might never have definitive answers,
Right.
I think there are still valuable insights to be gained from exploring the different theories
Right.
and examining the societal context in which this tragedy unfolded.
I agree. And it's important to remember that beyond the sensational headlines and the morbid fascination,
Right.
there's a real human being at the heart of the story.
Of course.
A young woman with dreams and aspirations
Yeah.
who met a horrific end.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a rather unsettling aspect of this whole story.
Oh.
The way Elizabeth's tragedy has been commodified over the years.
Oh, interesting.
The article mentions Givenchy's perfume, Dahlia Noir, and its promotional video,
Okay.
which features a woman seemingly in pain.
Oh, wow.
It's a disturbingly exploitative connection to make.
It's almost like they're trying to capitalize on the darkness and mystery surrounding the Black Dahlia case,
Right.
which feels incredibly disrespectful to Elizabeth Short's memory.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of how easily tragedy can be sensationalized and turned into a profit.
It definitely raises questions about our fascination with true crime.
Yeah.
And where we draw the line between curiosity and exploitation.
Right.
When does interest become insensitive?
Yeah.
When does remembering a victim turn into profiting from their suffering?
That's a tough one.
It is.
And it's something we should all consider, especially as true crime continues to dominate podcasts, documentaries, and even fictionalized retellings. We can get so caught up in the puzzle, the whodunit,
Yeah.
that we forget about the real human cost.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to approach these cases with sensitivity and respect.
Absolutely.
Remembering that behind every headline and every theory,
Yeah.
there's a real person whose life was tragically cut short.
Yeah, it really makes you think, huh.
It does.
It's a sobering reminder that sometimes the pursuit of justice isn't about finding all the answers,
Right.
but about acknowledging the complexity of a case
Yeah.
and the lasting impact it has on those involved.
Well said. And I think that's what makes the Black Dahlia case so enduring.
Yeah.
It's not just a whodunit.
No.
It's a reflection of a specific time and place.
Yeah.
A glimpse into the underbelly of Hollywood's golden age.
It's like this case ripped the mask off Hollywood, exposing the darkness that coexisted alongside the glamour.
Totally.
It challenged the narrative of dreams coming true.
Right.
And replaced it with a chilling reminder that nightmares can unfold just as easily.
And that duality, I think, is what continues to fascinate us. The Black Dahlia case embodies that push and pull between the allure of fame and the potential for darkness.
It definitely makes you think twice about the stories Hollywood sells us, right?
Sure.
About the price of fame and the sacrifices people are willing to make to achieve it.
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the fantasy, but cases like Elizabeth Short's remind us that the pursuit of dreams can sometimes lead down dangerous paths.
It's like a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
A reminder that the line between ambition and desperation can be blurry.
Absolutely.
Especially in a place like Hollywood where the stakes are so high.
Precisely. And it's important to remember that Elizabeth Short was just one of many young people
Oh, yeah.
who flocked to Hollywood during that era,
Right.
hoping to make their mark on the silver screen.
It makes you wonder how many others fell through the cracks.
Right.
Their stories overshadowed by the glitz and glamour of the industry.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
But I think that's why it's crucial to keep these stories alive,
Absolutely.
to remember the individuals who are lost in the pursuit of a dream.
Their stories deserve to be told,
For sure.
not just as sensational headlines,
Yeah.
but as reminders of the human cost of ambition and the fragility of dreams.
Well said. And even though the Black Dahlia case remains unsolved,
Right.
I think the ongoing fascination with it speaks to our collective desire for answers.
Yeah.
Our need to make sense of the senseless.
We're hardwired for closure, aren't we? We want the bad guy caught, the puzzle solved, the story neatly tied up with a bow.
Yeah, we do.
But sometimes life just doesn't work that way.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's the most important takeaway from this deep dive.
Hmm.
The Black Dahlia case teaches us that some mysteries may never be fully solved,
Right.
but that doesn't mean we should stop searching for answers
No.
or stop learning from the past.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that history is full of unanswered questions.
Ah,
And it's up to us to keep asking them,
totally.
to keep exploring the dark corners and challenging the narratives we've been told.
Because in the process of searching,
Yeah.
we might just uncover some uncomfortable truths about ourselves
Yeah.
and the world we live in.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just about uncovering facts.
Right.
It's about sparking new questions and challenging our own perspectives.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our exploration of the Black Dahlia case,
Okay.
I'd like to leave you with one final thought.
I'm ready.
What do you think Elizabeth Short's story tells us about the allure and the danger of chasing our dreams? And what responsibility do we have to remember the victims, not just the crimes? Let us know your thoughts.
Great questions.
Until next time, keep diving deep.